Hi everyone, it's Katrina. Number 10. The Titanosaur. Paleontologists at the American Museum of Natural History in New York unveiled the cast of a skeleton too big for their gallery. The skeleton is potentially the biggest dinosaur in the world, a new species of Titanosaur yet to be named. The cast is a fiberglass recreation of the bones, and it's 122 feet long. It's so big that it can't fit inside the display room, its head and neck sticking 10 feet into the room next door. The fossilized remains were discovered in Patagonia, recovered by a group of Argentinian researchers. It was a farmer who stumbled upon the skeleton first. He found a bone sticking out from the ground, realized it was enormous, and called in the experts to take a look. The bone turned out to be a femur as big as a living room couch. The skeleton was one of 6, all belonging to the same species of Titanosaur. Researchers dubbed it a dinosaur cemetery. All 6 prehistoric giants died in the same place, though nobody can say why. It took over 18 months to excavate all 223 Titanosaur bones. Scientists had to build a new road just to extract the extremely heavy fossils. The exhibition that was set up in New York didn't even include all the bones. The skeleton cast was made from only 84 fossils, all from a single specimen of a teenager. This thing wasn't even an adult yet, and it was already 122 feet from the tip of its tail to the top of its head. Number 9. The Ammonite. 80 million years ago, there were gigantic ammonites, bigger than most human beings, gliding effortlessly through the world's oceans. Today, scientists find their gigantic fossils all over the globe. And while many of them are big, one of them is truly enormous. What's believed to be the biggest ammonite fossil ever was found in Germany in 1895. It belonged to a species called Parapozosia sepenradensis, something like that. Likely the biggest species of ammonite that ever existed. The fossil is an absurd 6 feet long, and that's only the fossil. The creature itself could have been around 11 feet in diameter, maybe even longer, considering it would have had slimy tendrils sticking out from its shell. To give you an idea of how big the ammonite was, it rivaled the heaviest bony fish alive today, the giant sunfish. The giant sunfish is unique because it starts its life about the size of a popcorn kernel. Then, over its existence, it grows to be one of the largest things in the ocean. Ammonites were extremely similar. The babies were really cute and grew up in tiny rock pools, but as they grew, they became monsters. The biggest species of all lived during the late Jurassic, but they started to die out roughly 68 million years ago. They also had extremely long lives, lasting an estimated 200 years on average. Number 8. Rare spinofossils. Scientists are pretty sure Spinosaurus was bigger and meaner than the T-Rex. The monstrosity had a skull like a giant crocodile. It was covered in scales and it thundered around on 2 legs like a Tyrannosaur. After Jurassic Park 3, the movie, Spinosaurus became one of the most popular dinosaurs. Everybody loves it, yet experts are still struggling to understand the creature. Its fossils have proven very difficult to track down. Most of the fossils of Spinosaurus come from Morocco. You can imagine how delighted scientists in England were when they found one just off the coast of the Isle of Wight recently. Chris Baker from the University of Southampton was one of the scientists involved in the discovery. He called the animal huge, saying it likely measured more than 33 feet long. Chris said this particular Spinosaurus could have been the largest hunting dinosaur ever found in Europe. That is an incredible statement. If what Chris says is true, this Spinosaurus was the largest predatory carnivore that any scientist has ever uncovered in Europe. But what's really cool is that they lived everywhere. Scientists have even found several groups of similar Spinosauri in Brazil, Thailand, and Niger. The first skeleton was discovered in 1912 in the Egyptian desert by Australian paleontologist Richard Markgraf. The distribution proves Spinosaurus was an effective predator. The fossil in England is about 125 million years old, and while it was only about 33 feet long, that's because it was a similar species of Spinosaurus that lived in England. In Africa, Spinosaurus species could grow to be over 59 feet long and weigh over 9 tons. And now for number 7. But first, it's shoutout time! I want to give a big thank you to Toddzilla Simon and King Katana 7 for supporting this channel. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for more videos about amazing prehistoric creatures and dinosaurs. Number 7. The biggest raptor. In South America, scientists uncovered the fossilized remains of a new species of raptor. Paleontologists say it's the largest raptor dinosaur ever found, a super predator who lived 70 million years ago and hunted big game through the forests of Argentina. It's been named Macrothorax, and it's way bigger than you're expecting. Raptors became famous with the release of Jurassic Park, even though the movie didn't portray them properly. Real raptors were covered in feathers. They weren't scaly lizards. And while it's true that some were small and hunted in clever packs, others were huge. The newly discovered M. macrothorax was an unbelievable 33 feet long. That makes it the biggest Megaraptor fossil in the world. It obviously wasn't as big and strong as other carnivores like the T-Rex, but scientists think it was scarier. As a Megaraptor, this thing was designed to run. Its legs were long and slender, and it had hollow bones. The dinosaur was fast and agile to hunt its victims efficiently. And if this creature caught you, forget about escaping. It had curved claws up to 14 inches long, like sickle blades on the ends of its fingers. Their arms were also beefy, giving them the strength to rip apart their prey. Number 6. Fossilized blue whale. The blue whale is the biggest creature that has ever lived. It wasn't as long as Titanosaur, but it is bigger by sheer volume. The blue whale can grow upwards of 90 feet long and weigh 330,000 pounds. Scientists recently discovered the biggest blue whale fossil ever. According to National Geographic, the specimen, at 85 feet in length, is the largest on record. It was found in 2006 by a farmer in southern Italy. He noticed some vertebrae sticking out from a lake that he used to irrigate his fields. He thought it was weird that the bones were so big they broke the surface of the water, so the farmer called the experts. It took 3 years, but finally scientists drained the lake enough that they could successfully dig out the bones. Paleontologist Giovanni Bianucci from the University of Pisa was the leader of the team. They recovered the colossal remains and were shocked to find how old they are. The blue whale fossil is 1.5 million years old. The age is a bigger deal to scientists than the size of the fossil. Almost no whale fossils have ever been found older than 2.5 million years ago. Their bones simply don't last that long in the oceans as they get eaten by tiny organisms. Researchers hadn't even thought blue whales existed 1.5 million years ago. They thought blue whales started growing to their extreme size about 300,000 years before today. This changes the entire history of the animal as scientists hurry to make sense of the findings. Number 5. The biggest T-Rex. For years, the Canadian province of Saskatchewan has proudly called themselves home of the biggest Tyrannosaurus rex in the world. The fossil is nicknamed Scotty, and he lived 66 million years ago. His bones weigh 19,555 pounds. With his flesh packed on, Scotty would have weighed more than 4 oversized pickup trucks. He measures a total of 42 feet long. It took over 20 years to fully excavate the Tyrannosaur, and then even more years to confirm him as the biggest member of the species ever found. But thanks to a new study, it turns out Scotty's time in the limelight might be coming to an end. Paleontologists at the Canadian Museum of Nature in Ottawa are now saying the largest T-Rex in the world likely weighed 33,000 pounds. That's almost double how much Scotty weighed when he was alive. Scientists reached their conclusion by looking through all the data available on T-Rexes. The most shocking thing about these creatures is how few of their fossils have been found. Researchers believe there were once an astounding 2.5 billion T-Rexes roaming the globe. Yet only 32 adult fossils have ever been discovered. Scientists have a very limited amount of data to go on. But even with the little data, David Hone and Jordan Mallon were able to create models of what different T-Rexes might have looked like. They even took into account sexual dimorphism, the difference in size between males and females. The results of their study are shocking. The Tyrannosaurus rex may have reached far greater sizes than anyone could have imagined. Scotty might be about 70% smaller than the biggest member of his species. It's only a matter of time before scientists find an even bigger fossil, one that steals Scotty's title. Number 4. The giant turtle shell. A new species of turtle was recently identified thanks to some preposterously enormous fossils. The ancient sea turtle has a long and complicated name, Leviathanochelys enigmatica. It's easier if you call it by its genus, Archelon. There are multiple kinds of species under the genus, most of them giants. They were mostly about the size of a hippopotamus or bigger, growing over 15 feet long and 7,000 pounds. The extinct turtle was unbelievably big. It swam through the oceans off the coast of North America during the Cretaceous period. That was between 145 and 66 million years ago. Fitting with the theme of random discoveries, its humongous fossil was found by a hiker in Catalonia in 2016. It took 5 years for the upper shell, scraps of the pelvis, and other fragmented bones to be excavated. Based on the size of the pelvis, scientists were able to estimate its size. It was probably about 12 feet from its toes to its head, putting it within the top 3 biggest marine turtles to ever exist. Unfortunately, there isn't much else to say about the creature right now. Scientists are still studying its remains to see what kind of animal it was. Albert G. Sells, a postdoctoral researcher involved in the project, thinks it may have been a carnivore. The turtle was also likely preyed on by sharks, judging by the tooth marks on its skeleton. Number 3. Spiders of the Jurassic. During the Jurassic period, there were terrifying spiders roaming around the world. One of the biggest and scariest is an extinct genus called Mongolorachni. To date, there have only been 2 official specimens discovered, only 2 fossilized skeletons of the monster spiders. One was found in 2005 by farmers in Inner Mongolia, China. Scientists described it as a nephila, a species of ancient orb-weaving spider that could weave giant webs nearly 5 feet across. It was a female, measuring roughly 3.2 inches in total length, from the front legs to the back legs. That's obviously not very big, yet the specimen from China is still the largest described fossilized spider ever. And so what if this spider was only a few inches long? It was still a monster in its own way. One of the things that made it so dangerous was that its silk had a stickiness like Velcro. If you were to walk into one of its enormous webs, you might find yourself stuck for good. Maybe the spider wouldn't eat you, but maybe it would crawl into your mouth and lay its eggs. Number 2. The giant flyer. The fossilized remains of a gigantic flying reptile were recently discovered on Scotland's Isle of Skye. According to the National Museum of Scotland, the fossil is that of a pterosaur, more commonly known as a pterodactyl. The museum says it's the largest one of its kind ever discovered from the Jurassic period. It was about the same size as an albatross, with a wingspan of over 8 feet. This time the fossil was discovered by a student. Amelia Penny was on a field trip to the island in the remote northwest of Scotland when she spotted the jaw of the reptile sticking out from rocks. It came as a big surprise because in most cases, pterosaurs are only found in South America and sometimes in China. Professor of paleontology Steve Broussat says the flying reptile skeleton is the best one found in Britain in over 200 years. The winged beast had extremely light bones as thin as a sheet of paper. The scientists had to use a diamond-tipped saw to get the bones out of the rock without breaking anything. Number 1. The Colossus. Random people keep finding the biggest fossils in the world randomly in their yards. This time, it was a Portuguese man in 2017 who noticed a fossilized bone while doing some yard work. He got into contact with scientists who later in the year started excavations. It looks like the dinosaur could be the largest ever found in Europe. Spanish and Portuguese paleontologists were still struggling to reveal the creature during the 2022 dig season. All the scientists have been able to reveal so far have mostly been ribs and vertebrae. Elisabetta Malafaia, a specialist from the Faculty of Sciences at the University of Lisbon, told the press it is one of the biggest specimens ever found in Europe. It might even be one of the biggest fossils in the world. But the dinosaur is still a mystery. Nobody knows exactly what species it was. The bones resemble that of a sauropod, a kind of plant-eating beast with a long neck and a vicious tail. They were the largest land creatures to roam the planet. This particular specimen might belong to the Brachiosauridae family, but that's still unconfirmed. It may have been about 82 feet long, alive during the Upper Jurassic around 160 million years ago. Thanks for watching! What's your favorite giant prehistoric beast? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already and give this video a thumbs up for more. See you later! Bye!